Good morning, Miss Dunn. Leonard Parker here. Just wanted to get back with you about your requested video audit. So I've had a chance to look at your website, look at some of the things you're doing here at edun.zeroriskadvisor.com. And very good looking website. I think there are definitely some things you can do to better position it in Google and the other search engines. But in this video, I'm going to cover 5 areas. So I'm going to take a look at the SEO on your actual website. That's going to be the first step. The second step, I'm going to look at what's called your off-page SEO, and this is commonly referred to as link building. And I'll get into more of the details about that later. Then I'm going to look at your technical SEO in the third part. In the fourth part, I'm going to give you some recommendations for content, because content, that's going to be the most straightforward way to improve your visibility online. And then finally, so after you cover those 4 areas, you want to take a look at your website and figure out, okay, if I have 100 people coming to my website per day, and let's say one person contacts you and is actually a qualified lead, how can you increase that to 3 people or 4 people? Because I'm sure you understand that will have a big impact on your firm. And that's called conversion optimization. And that's going to be the last part of the video. So for the first part, on-page SEO, and really what is that? So when Google and other search engines like Yahoo and Bing, they crawl your website, so they have these really specialized computers called crawlers. And really they're just specialized computers. They review your website, but aside from how I would look at your website, if I was a prospect, I'll actually read the content. They look at certain areas on your website to figure out what it's about. And some of these key areas, from what I see, could be better optimized. So for example, this little box that just popped up here, it's called your title tag. And pretty much that's the title of your website. So if you're thinking about, if you're writing a paper, what the title of that paper, that's the same idea here. And right now you can see its homepage, which really doesn't say anything about your business or who you serve. So an example of an optimized title tag would be something like Zero Risk Advisor, Western Washington Financial Advisor. Or if you wanted to focus in on a particular specialty, you would put that in the title tag. And what that does, at first, it tells, when someone looks at your website in the Google search results, it tells them exactly what it is you do. And then it also tells the crawlers what your page is about. And the reason why you want to put financial advisor, Western Washington Financial Advisor, because that's what's called your keyword. And your keywords are very important. So you want to make sure that your keywords are spread out across your website. So kind of going further down here, these are your headings. So you want to put financial advisor, you want to mention your location. So I wasn't clear if you're targeting specific cities within Western Washington, but let's say if you wanted to go after Seattle or Tacoma, you want to make sure that you mention those cities here. And that way, when the search engines review your website, they'll know, okay, this is a financial advisor. She focuses on Western Washington. She focuses on Seattle. This is where we should rank her website. So I would say that's the first step, just kind of going through your website and making sure that those phrases, those keywords are prominent throughout your content. So that's the first thing, your title tags and your keywords. The second thing here, when we're looking at your on-page SEO, you want to make sure that you're giving more information about your business. So I'm not sure, you don't provide an actual address here. So I'm not sure if you serve clients virtually or if you have a physical location where they can come in and meet you. But you want to make sure you include that address somewhere here on the website. Not only for users, so they know, okay, she's 15 minutes away from me, she's 45 minutes away from me, but also it would help the search engine crawlers figure out exactly what's your address, and again, where to place your website. If someone's looking for a Seattle financial advisor, Tacoma, Bellevue, and so forth. So very important that you actually include your address here if you have a physical location. And then finally, it's good that you have a link to your Facebook page. Also, for financial services, it's common to include also your LinkedIn profile. Even if you don't have a company page, I recommend getting a company page, but even if you just have your personal profile, you should link to it, because usually if people don't find you on LinkedIn first, they're going to come to your website and they're going to check out your LinkedIn profile. And I know that you provide kind of a snapshot of your experience here higher up on the page, but that's where people are going to see, okay, from college to where you are now, kind of your experience and whether you'll be a good fit. So those are the main things I would look at for your on-page SEO. So first, include your target keywords more. And then two, just provide more information about your business so that it's more SEO friendly. So going to the second step, off-page SEO. And this is commonly referred to as link building. And a good way to think about link building, so all of the websites out on the web, there's probably millions, if not billions, of websites now. When they link back to you, it's almost like a vote, like a sign of confidence. So let's say you wrote an article for Forbes, and in that Forbes article, you had a link back to your website. That's almost like a vote of confidence from Forbes that this person is credible, they're legitimate, you should check them out for anyone who's reading that article. And that's always been a key component of Google's ranking algorithm. Since they started in 1998, that the site with the more backlinks, that's usually going to be the more popular website and a website that people want to visit. So we're going to reward that website with a higher ranking. Now in 2018, it's more about quality. So let's say if you were going against a competitor in Seattle, right? They had 100 backlinks, but they were from low quality websites, maybe websites that didn't have a lot of viewers, a lot of visitors. But let's say you only had 20 backlinks, but they were from really high authority websites like Forbes, CNN.com, Investopedia, and so forth. Those websites are going to have more value and more weight. And so those are the type of sites that we want to go after when we're getting backlinks for your website. So when I looked at your backlink profile, it looks like you have one backlink, which obviously it's a good start. But when you're looking at, so I'm just looking at financial advisors in Seattle and some of the folks that you're going against. So you see here, there's a lot of Yelp listings. So this is like an actual financial advisory firm. And you can see they have 9 websites, the little LD9, that stands for the number of websites linking back to them. So they have 9. So it wouldn't take much to catch up with them, but there should be a strategic campaign where we're going out there getting backlinks for your website that are not only related to Western Washington, but also financial advisory services. So again, Investopedia, those will be at the top of your list. And I think some really low-hanging fruit there, if you're involved in any type of community organizations or any professional organizations for financial advisors, make sure that you have a profile on those websites and that you're linking back to your website. Those are really low-hanging fruit and something you can do yourself, within a few minutes. So that would be my second step. So once we clean up all the things on your on page, we'll shift our focus to off page where we're building those backlinks. And that's something, I get this question a lot, so I'm sure you have it, but people wonder, why do you have to do SEO regularly? It's not like a one-time project. And this is why, because you always want to go out there, get good backlinks, making sure that your backlinks that you do have, that they're still active. And that's really where the competition comes into play. And you can see here, if you're going after Seattle, you're going against some really big websites. So smartasset.com, glassdoor.com. Of course, those aren't actual financial advisory firms, but if you wanted to improve your organic presence, you're going to have to compete with these websites. So I have some more thoughts on that to make that easier, and I'll get into that in the content section. So that's pretty much everything for off-page. And then I would say another thing to look at, and this kind of goes why you should have your physical address on your website. There's a special type of backlink called business citations, and these are websites like Google My Business, Yelp, yellowpages.com. There's a ton of them. And you want to make sure that you have a profile on each of those websites. And the reason why is that if you have a business and you want to have any type of online presence, well, any business will want to make sure that they have a Yellow Page or Yellow Page profile, a Yelp profile, because that's another way for clients to find out about you. And again, kind of going back to the search engines, they look at these websites to see, okay, is this person legitimate? Is it credible? Do you have reviews? And I'm not sure about your compliance. You might not be able to get reviews, but you want to make sure that you at least have those profiles set up. And, when we're looking at the rollout of your link building campaign, so first I would target, organizations that you're affiliated with or community activities that you've helped out with, see if you can get a backlink to your website. Then I would go into citations, and citations, that would probably, you'll see the biggest impact, because right now you don't have anything in that area. And that was just help your organic presence. And if someone doesn't land on your website, they might fall on your LinkedIn company page first. They might find you on Yelp. Again, that's another way for you to attract prospects to your website. Now, going into the technical part of the video, and I'm not going to go too much into detail here, but just a few things to keep in mind. So, the first thing I saw with your website, that it has a very slow website speed. And so you'll see here, so this is a free tool I use. It's called GT Metrics. You can run this tool yourself on your end. But you can see I tested from Vancouver, which isn't too far from you. And you have a page speed score of F and then a Y slow score of E. And a lot of these issues aren't difficult to clean up. But the reason why it's so important, well, first, if someone, let's say it's on their lunch break, but they know they're kind of in the market for a financial advisor, they're on their mobile phone and they're looking for a website, they come across your site. If it loads very slow, and that happens, for many people, it's kind of frustrating, right? People are very fickle about websites these days. So if it takes more than a few seconds to load, that's going to annoy them. They're going to click off your website, go to one of your competitors. You pretty much lost that prospect forever. So what you want to do is make sure that you improve your website speed to where you want to be in the ballpark of 2 to 3 seconds. Right now you're at 5 seconds. And this report, it shows different things you can improve. So this is something that my team and we can definitely help with. Sometimes if you have your own developer, this is something that we can pass on to them. But you want to make sure you clean this up, because not only is it important for usability of your website, but Google, they want to return fast websites. So that's why it's really important that you clean this up. And that's pretty much everything for your website speed. The other thing, I noticed that your website isn't using something called schema. And this is really technical. I don't want to go too far, get too deep with this, but basically schema is a special type of code that you add to your website. And on top of the HTML that you already have going on to make sure that the website looks, the schema adds more contextual information about your business. So for example, schema that you definitely want to add to your website is called the local business schema. And in this particular snippet of code, you can specify that you're a financial advisory firm, that you service Western Washington. You can even indicate specific cities within that region that you serve. And again, this is more contextual information that you can provide to Google and the other search engines that'll give you a better position to rank well for those cities. So definitely the website speed and the schema, if there's anything I would focus on for your technical SEO, it would be those two things. So those are the first 3 parts. And now the 4th part, content. So this is really, I think, would be kind of your 80-20 thing. So you focus 80% of your efforts on content and improving the content that you already have, you're really going to see the biggest impact. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. So the first thing, I noticed that you don't have any type of blog. And I know kind of the rage these days is that you want to have a one-page website. Now that looks great, but it's terrible for your SEO. So whoever thought about that, they were only looking at the aesthetics, but not really thinking about the whole point of a website is for people to find you. And if you're just going to have one-page website, you're giving people one opportunity to find you, versus if you had 30 or 40 pages on your website, well, you just increase the number of possibilities that people can find you to 30 or 40 times. So what I would start with is a blog, and you can focus on your different areas of expertise. So you have mortgage protection, you have annuities, you have risk mitigation. So figuring out what questions are your prospects or your clients asking you, because if your clients or prospects are asking you in person, there's probably people out there who have the same questions. And what we typically do is put together an editorial calendar. So we figure out what are those questions, what are those topics that are trending in the market, and either once a week or once per month, we outline, okay, this is the topic we're going to write about. This is where we're going to share it on your social media. And these are the keywords that we're going to target. And not only does that provide more information about to your prospects, to your clients, but it positions you as an expert. And of course, that's what people who are looking for financial management, they want to work with the experts. So you want to make sure that you're putting yourself out there, putting out eminence, so that people can find you and you can build that credibility before they even call you. So other than that, for your content, since you are targeting Washington, Western Washington, what I highly recommend you do is have what's called a city page for each of your target cities. So I'm based in Texas, so I'm not familiar with all the cities there, but I found this list on Wikipedia, and this probably would be a good start. So you might not target all of these cities, but let's say if you were targeting Tacoma, Vancouver, Renton, let's just say you're targeting those few cities. So you would have a separate page for each of those cities targeting people in that city. And really the content would be sort of similar. You're going to talk about your services, but you're going to write that content in a way that targets someone from that city. So you'll probably mention, something about a landmark or a little bit of the history of the city, just to add more context and make it more city specific. And so that would really help you, especially in some of these smaller cities where, there's probably not much competition, honestly, once you get your SEO in order. But let's say you're going after a larger city like Seattle, which, we looked at the results. You're going against the newspaper there. You're going against some pretty big websites. So for those large cities, I take this a step further. I do what's called a hyper-local strategy. So within Seattle, there are different areas. So if we just did a search for Seattle neighborhoods, right? And you probably don't target all. You might have a limited list, but let's say we wanted to go after Lake City. Let's say you have a good history of getting clients from that area. So you would actually have a specific micro-targeted page for Lake City on your website. And the strategy behind this, if someone's typing on their phone or if they typing on their computer, even if they're in Seattle, depending on where they're at in the city, it's going to pull up results that are closest to their location or proximity. So that's really how the search engines are geared. They want to return useful results. And if something's closer, let's say if you're closer, you're maybe 5 minutes versus another firm that's 50 minutes, well, you're more relevant because you're right there. So that's why we want to target different areas in Seattle. So I think the step there is figuring out which of those areas would be most relevant for you, and then just writing content similar to the city pages, but writing content specific to those neighborhoods. And again, I think, typically when we're working on a campaign, we'll start the content in conjunction with the on-page work, because the content is where you're really going to see the biggest ROI for your SEO investment. So definitely highly recommend it. And so that's the fourth area I wanted to go over. And then finally, the conversion rate. And again, this is kind of the strategy. Once you have these other things in order, how can we give your website a facelift so that more people are calling you, more people are sending you contact requests? And the idea here is you don't necessarily need more traffic to get more prospects in your pipeline. But if you could better convert on those 50 people who are coming to your website per week, or 100, whatever that number is, then they'll have the same effect. So just some ideas here. So I kind of looked at your website from a kind of aesthetic standpoint. I really don't like how your number is on this background here. It's really hard to see. And that might seem a bit fickle, but you want to make contacting you as easy as possible. So let's say if my eyesight wasn't great and I'm looking at this number, it's a little hard to see. So you might want to, either do an overlay over this I think it's a pink color, or, just switch the color altogether. And then, in regards to your phone number, best practice is to put it somewhere up here at the top. So as soon as someone lands on your website, they'll see your number. They say, hey, I don't really need to read your information. I just want to set an appointment. Let's put that number at the top there. Something else you might want to consider when we're looking at phone numbers is called the call tracking number. And basically what it is, you would buy a number with the same area code, but instead of it being your actual office line, it would be a different number that would forward to your office line. And so what's the point of that, you might ask? So that's a great way to figure out just how well your marketing is working. Because typically what we do, we'll buy one for your organic, so your SEO related efforts. If you're doing anything on social media, we'll buy a separate one. And if you were doing any type of paid advertising, we would buy a separate number for that. And then, maybe over a few months' time, you can see where you're getting calls, and you can kind of figure out which of those marketing channels is leading to more calls. So you can see where you're getting your best return. So highly recommended. That's more of an advanced strategy that we probably wouldn't do off the bat, but something that I highly recommend. And then for your one last point here, and I know some people, they go both ways here with video on their website, but I highly recommend it, because you have to think, okay, someone comes to your website, okay, they see your picture, they read about your services, but a big part of kind of that relationship with your clients, if there's chemistry, if they can talk to you easily and be comfortable with you, because they are entrusting a large part of their lives to you, their financial security, their financial future for not only themselves but their family. So a video would kind of break down some of those trust barriers that someone might have when they're trusting you with their finances, but they really don't know you. They're just doing a Google search and they come across your website. In that video, you really want to be as authentic as possible. So, tell them a little bit about your background, tell them why you became a financial advisor, tell them what's your unique offering, what sets you apart from the hundreds of other financial advisors and firms in your area. That's really what you want to get across in that video, and it'll really come across well for your target client. It's best if let's say you had 5 prospects come to your website, that video pushes away 4, but then that one prospect who really connects with you via video, that person ends up becoming a client. Because instead of wasting your time with those 4 other prospects, you spend your time focusing on that one person who was going to become a client anyway. So that's another way to think about it. It's just a better use of your time. And then finally, I lied. So that wasn't my last point. One last thing, I'm not sure, it doesn't mention anywhere on your website, but you want to make sure that you have some type of focus, niche focus. So who is your target client? Who is your target audience? And you want to make sure that that's very clear on your website and in the video that I recommended. That will really help with your conversion optimization, and it'll help you to better convert the traffic that you're already getting, at least to qualify leads and to qualify meetings with prospects. So that brings me to the end of the video. I'm going to include a appointment link in the email so that we can set up some time. I can learn a little bit more about your firm and obviously answer any questions that you have about anything I went over in the video. And our focus, our bread and butter is SEO, but if you're looking at other marketing channels like social media or paid advertising, that's definitely something that I can help you out with as well. So thank you, Ms. Dunn, for your interest. I look forward to hearing your response. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I look forward to speaking with you this week. Take care.